Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Alan Sproat. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am serving as your worship associate this morning. I'm joined by our worship leader, Reverend Chris Rothbauer, whose pronouns are they, them, their. We are excited to welcome you to our worship service this morning. We're so glad to have you with us today, whether you're joining us in person or virtually, whether you're here for the first time or whether you've been here for longer than you can remember. Here at Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular. Wherever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. As a community, we also welcome the sharing of joys and sorrows and concerns. You're welcome to fill out a joys and sorrows slip on the table near the Welcome Center, in the pockets of the chairs, and on the Joys and Sorrows table in the front of the sanctuary, or you are welcome to light a candle. This can be done at any time before the service or in service from the beginning through the Offertory. We have a couple of announcements today. First, we'll have an announcement about Art at Horizon from Kat.
Good morning. I'm Kat Sabi. My pronouns are she, her. Kent was unable to be here this morning, so I have the honor of introducing our new artist. Akbar Fanai immigrated from Iran as a refugee, going through Turkey to the United States in 2017, where he has continued his painting. Firmly rooted in Persian tradition, Akbar's artistic legacy becomes a testament to the profound beauty of life, love, relationships, and the celebration of equality, dance, music, conversation, and happiness with future generations. Akbar's creations serve as a universal language, acting as a bridge that spans cultural gaps, fosters understanding, and promotes respect for the shared humanity that unites us all. Where are you? There, please stand. Please welcome Akbar and his interpreter, Ray. After the service, they will be at the back of the sanctuary near the small round table for some meet and greet time.
So I have a couple of announcements before we begin this morning. First of all, as many of you know, Horizon founding member Nina Haldridge died shortly after Christmas, and a memorial service has been scheduled for her for Tuesday, January 16th at 10 a.m. here at Horizon. Her family would like to invite anyone who wants to remember Nina to come to the service that day. The second is a very special announcement. Carmen, would you come up here, please? So, Carmen kind of sometimes blends behind the scenes, I feel like, even though she's right up front. But she has done an amazing job in the short time that I've been here, and I know many of you hold her in very high regard. This week will mark the 16th anniversary that she's been employed by Horizon. Now, this announcement is bittersweet. Shortly before Christmas, Carmen let Kel and I know that she is intending to retire this year. She is looking forward to lots of time with her husband and her family, and her final day at Horizon will be Sunday, May 19th. She wanted to give us plenty of time to try to find someone who can even remotely come close to her. We're going to have lots of time over the next few months to celebrate and thank Carmen for her contributions to this community, but I hope that you will join me in wishing her well as she finds the next part of her journey, and join me in celebrating her. Our call to worship this morning is from Sylvia L. Howe. We bid you welcome on this first Sunday of the new year. Like Janice, we gather with part of us looking backward and part of us looking forward. We gather on the edge of the new year, saddened by our losses, cherishing our joys, aware of our failures, mindful of days gone by. We gather on the cusp of this new year, eager to begin anew, hopeful for what lies ahead, promising to make changes, anticipating tomorrows and tomorrows. We invite you to join us in this celebration of life, knowing that life includes good and bad, beginnings and endings. We bid you welcome.
Our chalice lighting this morning is from Sarah Eileen Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with the courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. Please join me in our affirmation, which is printed on the back of your order of service and is projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. To reverence is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, hymn number 12 in the gray hymnal, O Life That Maketh All Things New.
That maketh all things new, the blooming earth, our thoughts within, our pilgrim feet went with thy dew, in gladness hither turn again. From hand to hand the greeting flows, from eye to eye the signals run, from heart to heart the bright hope glows. The seekers of the light are one, one in the freedom of the truth, one in the joy of paths untrod, one in the soul's perennial youth, one in the larger thought of God. The freer step, the fuller breath, the wide horizon's grander view, the sense of life that knows no death, the life that maketh all things new.
My name is Alex Jacobson. My pronouns are he, him. Horizon works to make a difference in our local community by supporting MetroCrest services. Each Sunday, you are invited to bring items for the MetroCrest pantry, including shelf-stable food items and personal care products like shampoo, menstrual hygiene products, and diapers for babies. If you brought items today, please hand them to a young person who will place them in the MetroCrest basket up here. And now at this time, I would like to invite our children and young at heart to the front for a story.
Well, everyone, today I have a great storybook to read to you called Little Tree by Lauren Long. Once, there was a little tree filled with little leaves who was surrounded by other little trees who had little leaves of their own. In the heat of long summer days, Little Tree's leaves kept him cool. The squirrels would climb up on his branches to play. The mourning dove landed in him and sang her fluty song. The little tree was sure to grow up big and strong. Autumn arrived, and cool winds filled the air. The wind tickled the little tree as it passed through its branches and tickled its leaves. The air grew cold, and the leaves on all the trees changed color, becoming yellow and red and orange. Then, one by one, the trees began to drop their leaves, but not Little Tree. He hugged his leaves tight. "Hello, Little Tree," said the squirrel. "You're supposed to drop your leaves now." But Little Tree was unsure. What would it do without its leaves? Winter came. "What are you doing with leaves on you?" asked the doe. Little Tree just hugged its leaves tight. Springtime arrived, and the little forest burst into life again. The other trees grew bright new leaves. The squirrels played in their branches. Little Tree could hear the mourning dove singing her fluty song. The seasons continued to come and go. "Little Tree," quacked a duckling, "your leaves are brown. Are you feeling sick?" A fox said, "Little Tree, it's autumn. It's time for you to drop your leaves. You can do it. Ready? 1, 2. But Little Tree just hugged its leaves tight. All around the forest grew and grew. One summer, Little Tree could no longer feel the sunlight. The squirrels played high above on the broad, tall trees, and the mourning dove sang so far away that it could hardly hear her fluty song. Autumn came again. Leaves began to blanket the ground. Little Tree looked up at the other trees, at their branches reaching high into the sky. It remembered when the trees had all been the same size. And then it let go. As its last leaf floated to the ground, for the first time, Little Tree felt the harsh cold of winter. But in time, something happened.
As we approach the time for our offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church that has meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to the people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. I'm going to invite Menica to come up and speak about our Share the Plate.
Good morning. My name is Menica, and my pronouns are she, her. Our Share the Plate offering or collection for today and for all of January is Raices, the Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services. Raices was created in 1986 to welcome and fight for families seeking safety and freedom in the U.S. Here's a story. Azita Jawadi and Hamid Sadra, a young married couple living in Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan, saw signs of a brighter future for themselves and their home country in 2021. They were expecting their first child and had witnessed changes to the local social fabric that meant women, at least in urban areas, could go to school, have a career, and participate in public life. But all that changed in August 2021 when the Taliban took control over the country again. Thousands of Afghans who had worked for the US government or other Western entities faced a return to the Taliban's stringent rules and fear for their well-being that came with the Taliban's resurgence. Jawadi, a former social worker for the US Agency for International Development, and Sadra, an artist working for an Afghan artist activist group, left the country with their unborn son. Their story and their eventual arrival in Austin serves as a microcosm of the hurdles in front of refugees looking to resettle in the United States. Jawadi should be eligible for a special immigrant visa or an SIV reserved for people who worked for the US government for at least a year in Afghanistan. She and her husband were here only temporarily under humanitarian parole, like most recent Afghan refugees, and have 4 years to figure out a way to stay in the US. Raisis was there to help the family get the special immigrant visas that they were entitled to. Another story. A family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 sisters, entered the US after escaping death threats and persecution in their home country, Venezuela. Without notice or explanation, the eldest child was separated from her family by Customs and Border Protection, CBP. For 14 days, she was alone, counting the hours and days since she last saw her family. Meanwhile, her mother and younger sister spent 2 days in a hielera, the notorious cages known as ice boxes used by CBP as holding cells, until they too were separated. The father was also held in detention apart from his entire family. Separated with no notice and no additional information, the family didn't know each other's whereabouts or if they would ever see each other again. Raisa's attorneys represented the eldest daughter. They fought for her freedom and reunification with her family and won. The family can now fight for asylum together and free. Raisis believes in a country where everyone has access to legal and social services no matter where you come from. A place where people don't have to go to court to face a giant institution on their own. A place where people don't have to navigate a maze that was created to keep them out, because we know that legal representation keeps families together and free. Families with legal representation are up to 10 times more likely to have a favorable outcome in immigration court than unrepresented families, and are given a real chance to plant roots in our new home. Along with Raisis, let's fight for families. Let's be the welcoming nation that we've always aspired to be.
Thank you to our members and friends who give and pledge electronically. If you would like to give electronically, you may do so on the Breeze app or online at horizonuu.org/donate. The offering will now be joyfully given and received. Thank you for your generosity. A reading from Elizabeth Harding. People have always known that fire was special. Long, long ago, before people made matches or candles or even made houses, people knew that fire was special. There was a great fire in the sky, the sun, which made the earth warm and made night into day. And there were the smaller fires that people made, fires that cooked their food and kept them warm and brought them light. People honored the fires because the fire was special. Fire was more than human. Fire has power. It can create and it can destroy. It can bring light and it can burn. Fire can be wonderful and fire can be terrible. We have to be careful with fire. And so many people thought that fire was something sacred and holy. Some people even worshiped fire and said that fire was a deity, like a goddess or a god. Other people said fire wasn't actually the deity, but just meant that the deity was there. No matter what they believed, people all over the world gave fire a special place in their religions. They had fires in their homes, of course, to cook food and keep warm, and they also had sacred fires in their temples. They set sacred lamps on their altars. They lit sacred bonfires outside on the hilltops and in the groves. They placed sacred torches near the graves of those who had died. We still do this today. In Washington, D.C., near the tomb of the unknown soldier, burns an eternal flame that never goes out. In churches at Christmas time, many Christians light 4 candles on an Advent wreath. During the 8 days of Hanukkah, Jews light the 8 candles of the menorah. At Diwali, Hindus set small lamps all around the house. And when Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. This is our sacred fire.
The new year calls us forward, filled with mystery. As we turn toward that new year, we take a final glimpse into the past year and reckon with all that it held for us. When you came in today, you hopefully should have gotten a piece of flash paper with your order of service. Now, this is a specially treated piece of paper that evaporates in fire, leaving no ash or residue. If you need a piece of flash paper or a writing instrument, I invite you to raise your hand and someone will come to you with what you need. Now, as you take your flash paper and your writing instrument, I want you to consider what you might leave behind today, burning it brightly so that it changes and disappears. What parts of our lives, what things, ideas, people, ways of living have become obstacles to our becoming the people we want to be, the people we need to be? What's holding you back? What's getting in the way of you living as fully as you'd like? I invite you to take your piece of flash paper and write a word or 2 on it. Nobody needs to see it except the flame and the universe. So take a moment and think about what your words will be and write it on your piece of flash paper. As some of you are finishing writing your words on the flash paper, for the next few minutes, Carmen's going to play some soft music. And as she does so, I want to invite you to come forward and drop your piece of paper into the candles and the bowls of sand that are up here. Now, if you've never done this before, there's a trick to it. Do not hold on to it. If you do, you might have a surprise bit of, not burn, but just kind of a pinch. The fire will take care of it for you, I promise. As you drop it into the fire, the flames will take it very quickly. As if you're more comfortable having myself or Alan drop it in for you, or if you are having issues coming up, please feel free to ask us, and we will be happy to take care of it for you. The fire ceremony will now commence. If the past year held joy and growth for you, may that sweetness continue to bless you. If the past year held pain and bitterness, may you be relieved of those burdens and renewed for the journey ahead. Let us look to the new with hope, with curiosity about its many unknowns, and with faith in our strength to navigate it with grace. So we now take time to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and that what affects one affects us all. So Carmen had one more anniversary that I didn't know, that I forgot about. She told me and I forgot about it. But a joy that she and Lloyd are celebrating their 36th wedding anniversary this Tuesday. A joy from Sarah that Elliot learned to drive manual transmission cars this week. She says, be on the lookout for a small white Fiat. It could be Elliot. A joy from Amy for Misty and Wendy, restored health and comfort. Evie Sutton shares a sorrow that her roommate Varen Sawyer has moved to Chicago yesterday, but joy for Varen and his next adventure. A sorrow from Madeira McKee. My father has stage 4 brain cancer and has 3 weeks to 3 months to live. And an anonymous, unspoken sorrow for an unspoken loss. And we light one more candle this morning to honor all the joys and sorrows which have gone unspoken and reside only in our hearts. Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation in whatever way feels right with these words from Erica A. Hewitt. After the reading, we'll have a space of silence, which will be broken by our responsive hymn, number 1010 in the Teal hymnal, We Give Thanks. This is the season of endings and beginnings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First comes the lessons of endings and beginnings. The presence of life, the sheltering spirit of life, grieves with those swept up in the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grants us, O universe unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. May we loosen our grip on that which doesn't serve us, leaving behind that which we have outworn and outgrown. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that such waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds which bring to birth what is ready to be born, something right and just and different, a new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love in the fullness of time. Blessed be.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Second reading, Meeting the New Year by Tim Atkins. New Year's is my favorite winter holiday. Since 2015, I've engaged in a ritual of reflection and intention that's dear to me, choosing a word to serve as my grounding for the upcoming year. I begin this practice by reflecting on my word of prior years: joy, embrace, explore, delight, authenticity, roots, blossom. Over time, my memories become infused with the spirit and the vibe of the word I chose for that year. For example, last year I chose blossom as my word. For 2022, and over the past year, I can recall thinking of how I was blossoming into a more fully realized version of myself. The next part of my ritual involves taking stock of different threads happening in my life and thinking about my hopes for the upcoming year. I narrow them down to one feeling and try to put a word to that feeling. One of the things most on my mind, and something I love most about Unitarian Universalism, is our denominational commitment to periodically assessing our beliefs and discerning whether they should evolve. Right now, we're in the midst of a bylaw, a mandated process for determining if we want to make any changes to Article 2, commonly known as the Principles and Sources. I'm proud to belong to a living religious tradition that embraces evolution both scientifically and spiritually. But deeply personal elements inform my ritual too. In December, my sole surviving grandparent, my maternal grandmother, passed away. She was the last member of that generation of my family, and with her passing, I've matured, no, evolved, to a new stage of life. It feels right for me to meditate on evolution this upcoming year. Evolve is clearly my word for 2023. Change can be scary, but evolution is exciting. How am I going to evolve to meet the challenges of this new era we live in? What's the word you want to reflect on during the upcoming year? What's the one word you want to remember your next year by? The dawning of a new year is the dawning of a new chance, a chance to right the wrongs we know we committed, to recommit to the life we choose to live, to reflect. It's a chance to start the next chapter in our story.
Shame for what you are. Feel no 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 shame for what you are. As you are now in your heart. Fall in love. Feel no shame for what you are. Feel no shame for what you are. Feel it as a waterfall. Fall in love. Ooh, fall in light, fall in light, fall in light. Stand beside your electric chair, dancing, stand absolved behind your electric chair, dancing. Past the sound within the sound, past the voice within the walk past your office, walk past your funeral, leave your home car, leave your pulpit. Join us in the streets where we, join us in the streets where we don't belong, don't belong. You and the stars throwing
The date of the new year is rather arbitrary, isn't it? Different cultures celebrate it at different times. The Chinese New Year is in February. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is held in October this year. Many pagan traditions celebrate Samhain at the end of October as the new year, And the Islamic New Year is in July, just to name a few. So I think it's safe to say that our choice of January as the beginning of the new year is the decision that could have been different. Really, any day of any month throughout the year, there's no mystical purpose behind it, more convention. In fact, at one time, March marked the first month of the new year in much of the Western world. It was only during the reign of Numa Pompilius that in the Roman Empire between 715 and 673 BCE that the calendar was changed to January. Now, Christians were initially hesitant to put their new year in January. They didn't want to seem like they were supporting the old ways. But the adoption of the Gregorian calendar in 1582 sealed the deal. January was the new year, and the reason was more practical than anything. The old Christian calendar created problems with calculating the date for Easter. So if you wonder why we celebrate New Year's in January, it's simple. It was easier to figure out when Easter was that day. So you'll understand if I don't place much intrinsic value on the placement of our practice of New Year's, since it could have and has been otherwise. But I think the new year does provide an opportunity, however arbitrary, to reflect on our lives and how they are going. Since it is the beginning of a calendar year, it can symbolically represent the start of new beginnings, new possibilities, new horizons. The question before us then is this: to what will you give yourself in 2024? What will your path bring you in 2024? The Unitarian Universalist fire ceremony is a good reminder that every year there are so many different things we can do in our lives and so many others we can leave behind in the previous year. Like the possibility of when the new year could take place, you could put your focus in many areas. You could go back to school. Don't give me that I'm too old spiel. I went to school with a 75-year-old. You could look for a new job or choose to expand your family or look for a new love or end a current one. You could take up a new hobby or decide to change your routine or do a new spiritual practice. There are so many things you could decide to take up. How can you possibly determine how to spend the next year? In a state of many choices and New Year's resolutions so often broken that gyms depend upon people breaking them to break even, what can you do to narrow down how to make your intention something you can do? What do you want to nurture in the new year now that you've burned what you want to leave behind in the previous? You can do more than one thing, of course, and I hope you do more than one thing, or else we're going to have a pastoral conversation. But if it helps, you can find one or two things to which you give yourself. This takes some intuition, some willingness to look inside and ask hard questions about where you're going and what you need. The question becomes, what is your calling in this present moment? Where is your life taking you? This is truly the difficult part, and I don't have a lot of good advice for how to discern where your life is going. In some ways, only you know how to figure that out. And even the best life coaches will expect you to have at least some idea of where you're going before you can be coached. But I think in some ways it's easy to figure out what to focus on if you can look at where your life took you last year. Let me give you an example of what I mean. In the last year, I've increasingly realized that my life is calling me to focus on my creative writing practices. Here's the thing that I don't talk about a lot. I got a degree in English in creative writing. And then I went to grad school. And then I went to seminary. And then I started my first job. And then I started my second job. You see where this is going. I kept having things come up that kept over and over again, forcing me to put off where I knew I wanted to go. And I much confess I haven't had much of a chance to engage in much creative writing beyond sermon writing since I graduated. Life has been very busy. My resolution in the next year is to find ways to engage in creative writing as well as to nurture the love I once had for it, so much so that I'd be willing to do a degree in it, to make it a regular practice as I did in my 20s. And once you know what you want to focus on, you need a way to remember it. I like Tim Atkins' way of finding a word to sum up what we hope for in the next year. Some religious traditions have a practice called a centering prayer. Now, many people are familiar with Zen meditation, where you try to block everything out of your mind. Well, in centering prayer, you do the opposite. You have a word you focus on in the midst of meditation to ground you in your intentions. So in this way, when our minds inevitably wander to something else, we can say our word again and remind ourselves of what we're trying to do in that moment. In this case of centering prayer, the words remind us that we're trying to connect, whether to God or to the universe or to a higher purpose or whatever you call that which is greater than yourself. When you have your word, you can take it out into the world and own it. It becomes a part of you, and you can remind yourself of what you want to do when your attention is inevitably drawn to something else through the year, as is liable to happen to each of us, since we each have so many responsibilities to attend to on a daily basis. Life requires that we take care of a lot, and our word can be a reminder to come back to what we want to give ourselves to. More than this, though, it helps keep us on track. If my intention is to go back to school, for instance, it's possible to remember that I thought going to school was so important. If I get an invitation to go on a trip during final exams, I might think about how that's a bad idea for my intention. And your word is not a commandment. Here's what they don't tell you in standard New Year's resolutions. If your word isn't serving you, bring it up here and burn it in this fire and find another one. You don't have to wait for the new year to start over again. And it is not shameful to figure out that your life is taking you somewhere other than where you thought you were going. You can redirect your intention. Any day can be the beginning of the new year, and I'm sure you'll find some culture that does find it the new year. The possibility of a new path on your journey is only a decision to redirect your attention. This new year, I urge you to direct your attention towards what will make your life and the world a better place. As Oprah Winfrey puts it, cheers to a new year and another chance for us to get it right. May we have the courage to keep trying to get it right and the fortitude to look towards the inevitable change that comes with life. May it be so.
we extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. I would like to invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, Carmen's 20th to last closing hymn. Yes, I counted. Hymn number 1028 in the teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. Oh.
10:15, I know I can.
Oh, okay, 10:15, I know I can. That's not what it says in my script.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on when sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. The troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song. The troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is near. The troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So siblings, take my hand, and cousins, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
Our benediction is by Lois Van Leer. Having let go, set our intentions, named our curiosity, committed our energies, and given ourselves over to lives of balance, purpose, and meaning, let us begin again in love. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.